It is day 13 of my 30-day series where I'm sharing my story, lived experience, and building a personal brand. Today, I want to share with you one of the funniest stories from building our family business. But first, let me give you some context. Now, years ago, Mark and I built a family business called Vasco's Chargrill Chicken. And by the time we sold it, we'd grown into 3 stores, 1 industry awards, and built a brand that people remembered. But from day one, we knew we didn't just want to be your average chicken store. We wanted to build a brand. And our philosophy was inspired by the Portuguese explorer Vasco da Gama. Now, we loved everything that he represented: discovery, adventure, and exploring new places. So we built our entire brand around that philosophy. And our motto became discover, enjoy, and share. We wanted people to discover Vasco's, enjoy our incredible food, and then share the experience with people and their friends. So one of the funny things was that customers would come in and they would say, I remember learning about Vasco da Gama at school. So straight away, there was a connection where people remembered the story at school before they remembered the food. And as part of our branding, we created the story around Vasco da Gama, traveling to places like India and Africa, discovering the chilies, the herbs and spices, and bringing those incredible flavors back to Portugal. And that was what inspired our signature peri sauce. So everything connected back to that story. We served our famous peri sauce with all of our free-range chickens, and our chickens went through a special marination process, which took a couple of days. It made them bigger, juicier, and tastier. So when you're building a personal brand, you've got to think about your X factor. And for us, our X factor was our free-range chickens. So they cost us more, but they were bigger, they were juicier, and they were tastier, and they became something that people remembered. So just like Vasco da Gama was free to roam as an explorer discovering the world, our chickens were free to roam on the range and they weren't caged. But that became our point of difference, and everything tied back to the same story. Now here's the funny part. Years later, we changed chicken suppliers, and I was chatting to one of them and I said, I just love the fact that our chickens are free to roam on the range. And he said, what? He started laughing. He said, not exactly. And I said, well, why? He said, apparently every morning the doors open up and the chickens, like the roller door opens up, the chickens are free to roam. But if one chicken decides to run back inside, thousands of others just turn around and run back in as well. So they don't even go out on the paddock. So if one of them decides, hey, my mate is going back in there, they're not very smart, the chickens. They all run back inside. So if you think that they're out on the range like I did, just roaming around, they're not always doing that. So I just couldn't stop laughing after all those years of building our brand around free-range chickens roaming around freely. It turns out they don't always take advantage of the freedom that they've been given. But here's the lesson in all of this. People don't remember businesses because they sell chicken. They remember businesses because they tell great stories. So think about your story. Think about your values. Think about your X factor. Think about what makes you different, because people might forget what you sell, but they'll always remember the story behind it. And maybe there's another lesson in all of this. Sometimes we're a bit like those free-range chickens. We've got the freedom to step outside and roam around, try something new and build a life that they want, but we end up following everyone else back inside. Don't be afraid to roam, because that's where the magic happens. So follow along as I share my stories, my lived experience, one story, one lesson, and one day at a time. I'll see you tomorrow.